And Gillespie County real estate market report for the third quarter of 2024. And as I'm sure you know, it really hasn't been a very exciting year for real estate. And that's pretty much across the country. Although I think we're still probably doing better in Texas than most states. So, as I always do, let's just go straight to the numbers. First, let's talk about the total sales for all of Gillespie County. So far for the third quarter of 2024, we've sold a total of $84,877,000 worth of real estate. You compare that to the third quarter of 2023, where we'd sold $99,647,000. That means our total sales volume for dollars is down about 14.8%, comparing quarter to quarter. And if we want to take a look at the total sales for Gillespie County from January 1st to September 30th, so kind of a year-to-date number, in 2024, we'd sold $250,318,000. You compare that to 2023, where we'd sold $275,704,000. So we're down about 9.2% in total dollar volume for Gillespie County year to date. And if we look at the number of individual properties that have sold from January 1st to September 30th, in 2024, we've sold 337 properties. In 2023, we'd sold 362 individual properties. So that's down about 6.9%. So certainly still a little sluggish. However, if we jump back and look at 2020, and 2020 was certainly a good year. We'd sold 254,519,000, which means we're really running about even with 2020 volumes. So even though things are much slower than the past couple of years, with increased interest rates and inflation, Fredericksburg certainly has not seen any just huge contraction in the market. Now, that said, if we have seen a contraction, it's been mostly felt in residential home sales, which I guess is the perfect segue to get me talking about in-town home sales in the Fredericksburg city limits. For the third quarter of 2024, we've sold $21,334,000. And in the third quarter of last year, we'd sold $29,953,000. So that's down about 28.78%, quarter to quarter. And again, if we want to look at year-to-date sales, so from January 1st to September 30th of this year, we've sold $62,114,000. You compare that to the first three quarters of 2023, where we'd sold $76,067,000. So in-town home sales account for about 15 million of the shortfall in total sales for the county this year. And of course, the old supply of rule and demand always has an effect. So we actually have seen a little bit of a softening of prices here in town. For the first three quarters of this year, we're currently at an average home price of $526,394. You compare that to the same period in 2023, the average home price was $580,671. So that's a pretty big drop of 9.34%. But before that number scares you, we need to talk about the average size of the home, because a little smaller home will sell for less than a bigger home. So the better metric here is to look at the price per foot from year to year. So this year, we're at an average price per foot of $272.57. You compare that to the average price per foot at the end of 2023, which was $284.24. So that's a decrease of about 2.69%. So we're down, but nothing too drastic. And some of that can even be attributed to some of the new developments like the Lennar and the Dior Horton projects. Then, if you watch this regularly, you also know that this year I'm trying to track STR sales completely separate from residential sales. And you might be surprised that the STR market is still really in pretty high demand, although you may think exactly the opposite is true because we just have such a high inventory of STRs on the market right now. And the explanation here is that our traditional STR buyer was always someone who wants to just own a house in town that they can come and stay at, enjoy when they're here, and then they can rent it out when they're not here and help pay the bills. And those buyers are still coming here and they're still buying. But all the folks back in 21 and 22 that thought they were just going to get rich in the STR business are realizing it just doesn't work that way. So the folks who really just aren't making enough money to make it worth it, and some aren't even making enough to cover their payments, are trying to get out. So we just have a lot for sale. But so far this year, we sold 47 STRs in the city limits. Last year, for the first three quarters, we'd sold 35 STR units. So year to date, we're up about 34% in the total number of units sold. And actually, just for the first three quarters of this year, we've already sold more than we sold all of last year. But again, that supply and demand rule continues to work because the average STR price has come down just a little. Right now, it's at $446.28 per foot for 2024, which is down about 5.35% from 2023, where we ended at $471.68 per foot. And I expect that average price to continue to drop just a little, as as the marginal rentals that just really aren't making money continue to be sold at a discount, with a fair number of those actually just going back into the single family residential use. I wrote a contract on one this weekend that's exactly what they're going to do, is just making a home again. But the successful STRs, the kind of cute older homes near Main Street, those still continue to demand a premium. So let's move on to land sales. Here, we're still seeing really good demand. From January 1st to July 30th of this year, we've sold 2,446 acres for a total of $67,281,000. In the first three quarters of 2023, we'd sold 2,033 acres for a total of $55,744,000. That equates to an increase in total sales volume of 20.69%. And about the same increase for the total number of acres sold. That's an increase of 20.26%. And of course, that demand has helped bump prices up just a little bit. The average price across the county right now is at $23,162,000. And like I always do, I like to break it down into different sizes. So like a 1 to 5 acre tract this year is currently selling at $67,251 per acre. You compare that to 2023, we ended at $54,955 per acre. 6 to 10 acre tracts this year, we're currently at $40,299 per acre, compared to 2023 with $34,584 an acre. So you can see that price per acre is increased in a lot of the segments, not every segment, some. 11 to 25 acres, currently trading at $31,764 an acre. 2023, we were at $26,764 an acre. Now, this year, we've sold a couple of really nice properties with some nice water on them. So I think we're seeing that price per acre a little higher than it really will end up leveling out to be. 26 to 50 acres, this year we're at $31,424 compared to last year's price of $26,424 per acre. And again, just a couple of properties sold this year, and they were both really nice. I don't think that $31K an acre price is going to stay quite that high. Then 51 to 100 acres this year, we're at $22,268 per acre. You compare that to 2023, it was actually a little bit higher at $25,212 per acre. 100 to 250 acres, this year we're at $17,294 per acre. Last year we ended at $13,872 per acre. And 250 plus acres, we've only sold one this year, and that sold at $14,216 an acre. And 2023's average was $17,815 per acre. Then on city lots, we've sold 10 lots this year. Right now, the average price for a city lot is sitting at $163,390. Then just to talk real quick about rural residential sales. Here we're running about even with last year. In January, from January 1st to July 30th. This year, we've sold 71 properties, and in 2023, we sold 72 properties. So demand for homes out of town remains about the same. So really, we're just kind of plugging along this year. I'm guessing the rest of this year will probably end up about the same, as the first three quarters, with kind of a slow, steady pace. A lot depends on interest rates and, who's trying to blow up their neighbor in the world. But I'm pretty optimistic, but by the spring of 2025, we'll see a fairly healthy increase in activity. But, there's a lot of what ifs in between now and next spring. So that's the report for third quarter of 2024. All this data can be found on my site at mikestarks.com. If you have questions, you're always welcome to give me a call. And thanks for watching.